In this video, I'm going to show you how to configure WordPress quickly. You're going to want to go ahead and log into your WordPress dashboard if you're not logged in already. And over on the left-hand side of your screen, you're going to see a link that says Settings. And if you hover over that, if you just put the mouse right over Settings, you'll see that another drop-down window is going to appear. And it's going to say General, Writing, Reading, Discussion, Media, and Permalinks. And these are the settings that we're going to go ahead and adjust right now. So the first one that you want to click on, let's just start at the top. Go ahead, click on the General link. And these are going to be your WordPress site's general settings. So the first thing that you see here is the site title. That's going to be the name of your site. You would have gone ahead and put that in when you created your WordPress site. The tagline, that's going to be what your site is about. Just in a few words, explain exactly what your site is about. You're not going to have to worry about the next settings, the WordPress address or the site address URL. Just go ahead and leave that as is. You're going to want to have your email address, your best email address. And then the next thing that you want to do is you want to go ahead and choose a city that you're in for your time zone. So just choose a city near where you are, or if you know what you are, UTC time, you can go ahead and adjust that UTC +5 or wherever. But I find the easiest thing to do is just choose a city that's near you in the same time zone. So I'm over here near Boston, Massachusetts, and the closest city to me on this list is going to be New York City. We can choose our date format, how we want our date to display, as well as how we want the time to display. I usually just like to keep those exactly as they are. Same with the week starts on. I just leave that exactly as it is. And once you've made your changes, if you have any changes to make right here, you're going to just go ahead and click on Save Changes. And when you do that, you'll see up at the top here, right under General Settings, you'll see that it's told you that the settings have been saved. Usually anytime that you make a change inside of WordPress and you change settings, it will tell you when you made those changes that the settings have been saved. Now the next thing that we want to do is we're going to go to Writing. In the Writing settings, I never worry about any of this. I generally don't post by email. But if you wanted to, you can go ahead and make new posts via email. I find it's much easier to just log into the WordPress dashboard. So for under Writing, I usually don't do anything with that. Under Reading, though, this is something that you might want to come back to in just a little bit after we've created some pages and some posts on our site. But what WordPress allows you to do is it allows you to either have your front page display your latest post, or we can go ahead and have a static page. So a specific page be our front page. And you can choose from either pages or posts on your site, and you can choose what page you want to appear. I'm going to leave it as our latest post. Same with this right here. We can decide how many posts we want to show at a time. Once again, this is settings you really don't have to touch, so I usually just leave them as they are. But once again, if you do make some changes, go ahead and click on the Save Changes. And you'll see once again, settings have been changed. Now the next thing that you're going to want to do is click on Discussion. And Discussion is an important one. And when you're just starting out especially, you're going to want to make it so other people can't post comments on your WordPress site. Because what happens a lot of times, when you allow people to make comments on your site, you get loaded with spam. And it's happened to me on lots of different sites. So on brand new sites, I always do not allow people to post comments on new articles. And depending on your WordPress installation, it may come checked, and that would allow people to post comments, or unchecked. And like I said, I like to keep that unchecked. It'll prevent people from leaving spam. And generally, when I'm creating a site, I don't necessarily want to know what other people think. Like it says right here, these settings can be overwritten later on. So if later on you do create a page or a post that you do want people to comment on, you can write in that page. You can select people to be able to leave comments. So for now, I like to leave this off. The other settings, once again, I leave these pretty much as is because I don't worry too much about comments because I don't want people commenting on my website to begin with. If you did want people to comment, you can go ahead, adjust some of these settings, but for now, we're going to just leave it as is. Just make sure that people cannot leave comments on your site. Once again, go ahead, click Save Changes. The media, we'll click that link. And on this page, we can decide how big we want our thumbnail images to appear, how big we would want a medium-sized image to appear, and how big a large image should appear. And we can also decide if we want to have WordPress organize the uploads into month and year-based folders. And you can either check that or uncheck it. The choice is yours. I like leaving that check so that if I move a site later on or if I'm looking for a file later on, if it's in a month and year based folders, it's very easy to find. So I just leave that checked. Generally, the settings that WordPress gives you right in here, they're good enough. If you're a photographer and you want to display larger images or you're using a theme that can accept much larger images, you could go ahead and adjust that. But generally, these settings are fine. Go ahead, save changes if you made any changes. And now the final one that we're going to worry about here is permalinks. And this one is the most important because out of the box, the permalink structure, meaning how your WordPress site is going to display the content as a URL. If you leave it stock, it's not very search engine friendly. But if we go down here to post name, okay, what it does is the way that it's going to name your files and the way that it's going to display them is by the post name. And that's very good for search engine optimization. Go ahead, make sure that you select post name for the settings here. That's very important. We don't need to worry about the category base or tag base. We're going to do categories and tags later on. But just really important, go ahead, select post name, and then click Save Changes. And you can see that the permalink structure has been updated. And that really is important because when we create new posts, the post titles are going to end up in the URL. So that if our post titles have our keywords in them, that's going to work really good for the search engine optimization. So go ahead and make sure that you have post name, and those are going to wrap up the settings that we're going to worry about right now. These are some baseline settings that are going to be good for you to get started.